Once in a bustling American town, there was a young man named Jake. He was a talented mechanic, but he had one major flaw. He always looked for the easy way out. Whether it was using a cheap part to save a buck, or skipping a safety check to clock out early, Jake's mind was always racing toward the shortcut. Jake's grandfather, a retired veteran who had run the local garage for 40 years, often pulled him aside. "Listen, Jake," he'd say, "your character is like the foundation of a house. If you build it with scraps and sand, the first storm that hits will level the whole thing. Do the job right, even when nobody's watching." But Jake just shrugged it off, thinking he was smarter than the old school ways. One Saturday, a local business leader named Mr. Sterling brought in a vintage muscle car. This car was his pride and joy. Jake's grandfather decided this was the perfect test. He handed Jake a single, high-grade bolt and a specialized torque wrench. "I want you to replace the steering column housing," his grandfather said. "But there's a catch. You have to hand polish every thread before you set it, and you can't leave this bay until it's torqued to the exact spec, 0059. It seemed like a tedious, unnecessary task. As Jake worked, his friends texted him about a beach trip. The radio played his favorite songs, and the heat in the shop started to rise. 118. Every time he got bored, he considered just slamming the bolt in with an impact driver and calling it a day. He almost did, but then he remembered his grandfather's eyes. When his grandfather returned, he didn't even look at the car. He looked at Jake's hands, which were covered in the fine dust of the polishing compound. "Why did you take so long?" he asked. Jake replied, "I wanted to cut corners, but I realized if I didn't do this right, the steering could fail at 80 miles an hour. His grandfather nodded. "That bolt is your integrity. The distractions, the phone, the heat, the urge to rush, those are the world trying to weaken your foundation. If you don't discipline yourself to value the truth of your work, you'll lose your reputation before you even build it." From that day on, Jake changed. He stopped looking for the fast track and started focusing on the right track. He began arriving at the shop 15 minutes early to prep his tools. He double-checked every diagnosis and refused to use subpar materials, even if it meant a smaller profit. At first, it was frustrating. He wasn't the fastest mechanic anymore, and some of his friends teased him for being too serious. But slowly, people noticed. His hands became steadier, his reputation for honesty grew, and the most complex jobs in the county started landing on his workbench. 2 years later, a massive state contract for the regional emergency fleet was up for grabs. Companies from all over the state bid for it. The inspectors didn't just look at prices, they looked at the reliability of the work. When they inspected Jake's shop, they found every record perfect and every engine tuned to the millimeter. Jake's shop won the contract. At the ceremony, as the community cheered, Jake's grandfather stood in the back with a proud smile. Jake had proven that a man of integrity is worth more than 100 men with talent but no discipline. He became known across the state as the man whose word was as solid as steel. If you felt a spark of conviction today, don't let it slide. Build your foundation on solid ground. Like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder to stay true, and subscribe so we can keep building a life of character together. Your legacy of excellence starts the moment you decide to do things the right way. Start today.